Hello and welcome to the DPod from the DPad, episode number 52. Today is September 21st. We are live on twitch.tv and from the DPad.com. My name is Nick, I'm your host, and with me as always is Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Nick. How are you today?
Oh, I'm just freaking dandy.
Number 52.
Number 52. This is officially 1 year's worth of podcasts.
We're wrapping up season 1.
Where I have on my stylish gunners.
Yep.
So that I can see everything that this podcast has to offer. Also with us this week is Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
What's a gunners?
I don't know.
Gunners are glasses with tinted lenses to help increase contrast and reduce eye strain for long gaming sessions.
I don't really think they work, but damn do I look cool.
But you haven't really done a extensive playing session.
I guess.
With them on.
I suppose.
But gunner optics are kind of a hot thing.
They're the new hotness?
I don't know if it's new.
No?
But they're a hotness.
They're tinted yellow, so you know I'm a hipster doofus.
Oh.
You know, if that stuff actually works, I could really use it, because...
I could probably too.
My day job is IT, so I spend all day looking at glowing rectangles, and then I come home and spend all night looking at glowing rectangles.
Yeah.
Sometimes my eyes are real effed up by the end of the night.
I hear you. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I have yet to determine whether these actually do anything or not, besides make me look super sexy.
Well, Gunner has a whole line of things. Like the one that I know of is obviously for gaming, but I think there are ones that are tinted white or not tinted at all, so you can get them prescription and they still do all the same stuff that they claim to do. But that's always been the reason why I haven't invested in them, because I wear prescription glasses, so it's a big investment for something that may or may not work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This podcast not brought to you by...
Not yet, anyway. Although if you're out there and you're willing to,
No, but we got a pair from our friends over at Second Opinion podcast, and we're trying them out, so we'll see.
I'm wearing them right now.
Yes.
Not with us this week is Jeremy. He's got human things to do.
Human things. But
Jeremy's,
he'll be back.
He's extremely good at finding human things to do. I'm going to have to pick his brain sometime on having a life.
Please explain these human things.
What do you mean?
Input
Please
required.
teach me to love. Sharon, would you like to go over the card?
Oh, sure. For anybody who's listening to us, let's say after the 21st of September, we record this podcast live. It's a videocast, actually. You can even watch things on twitch.tv/FromTheDPad, Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We welcome you to join us, follow us, and check it out live sometime. And if you are not able to join us on Saturdays, you can always find us on Twitch TV, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and at our website, which is www.fromthedpad.com.
All right. Good job.
Thanks.
Good job, Jeremy.
Great.
All right. So why don't we talk about what we're playing for video games? All right, okay, that's enough of that.
You're really into that one today.
Yeah, I know. Who would like to go first? I feel like we have a lot of the video games.
I'll go first, because I'm not playing anything new.
Okay.
I didn't buy GTA 5. I'm probably going to wait and PC that, maybe? Question mark?
Just as a one-off here, just to note that I don't believe any of us actually bought Grand Theft Auto 5, which makes us like the minority of human beings.
Yeah, because apparently, what was it, $1 billion in 3 days?
$1 billion in 3 days.
So there's a lot of GTA 5 dudes playing that game right now.
Some dude bros everywhere.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it feels like kind of a dude bro game. But maybe it's not. I don't know. Anyway, so one of the I revisited 2 games that I have already been playing probably up to 8 months ago. And one of them I'll tell you about first is Snapshot. And Snapshot is a game by a developer called Retro Effect, I believe. And I put a little thing on our website when I first played it because it was really cute and puzzly, but not really difficult. I still really enjoy this game. It's still, the robot's adorable, and the puzzles are, I don't know, they're getting more challenging as I go along, which is good. But the colors are fun, and the music is fun, and it just has like this really cute, I don't know, thing about it that I like. So I keep going back to this game specifically when I feel like a moron, which happened in the other game that I was playing, because in this game there are objectives and you can get them all or you do not have to get them all, and you always feel like a brainiac for getting at least one of them.
So all you have to do is get to the end of the stage?
Well, yes and no. I mean, that's kind of the base objective, is you go from one place to the other. But there are hidden things in each stage, and as you find more and more of the things that are hidden, you unlock further stages. You use a game mechanic that's a camera, and you use it to take photos of elements in the environment and move them to a new area in the environment to help you solve the puzzles.
Does this game feature a little robot guy?
Yep.
Has he always been a robot?
Yeah.
Huh. I feel like they changed it. I feel like we saw an early build at this at a PAX years ago, and he wasn't a robot dude.
We did see it at PAX, but I think he was a robot
Maybe
then.
he
I'm
was.
not
You
entirely
might
clear.
be thinking of the same developer also made Offspring Fling,
Okay.
which has a really similar art style.
Does it?
Huh.
So yeah, I like it. It's got that satisfying sort of orb collection thing that I like. And
Orb
it
collecting!
tells you how much you collected. And in this particular video that I put up on the site a few months ago, it's kind of going through the basics of the mechanics. And, you know, I'm using a controller for it. I'm not sure if it's keyboard enabled or not, but it's pretty intuitive. So as I said, part of the reason that I went back to this one is because the other game I was playing, which is Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery, makes me feel like a dumbass. And it's a game that I started when it first came out, and I had a lot of trouble, for some reason, having it play on my computer. Like, just technically, it would drop, it would freeze, it was just causing a whole bunch of problems. I then played it on Nick's computer for a while, and I got really frustrated with it freezing up on me, so I forgot about it for a long time. I booted it up again recently. There seems to have been a patch somewhere along the lines, and it runs fine now on my computer. It did freeze out the screen when I exited the game, but for playing the game it was fine. Like I said, this game again is I like the art style, I like the treatment of it. The music is fun. I bought this, I think, in a bundle, and I had the soundtrack with it, and I really like the soundtrack and the way that they treat the music and how it interacts with the game. Like, it's not just music, but it actually is part of the gameplay. But I can't figure anything out. I swear to God, there was one that I was working on. It was pretty early in the game. There's like a field of sheep, and you have to click on 8 sheep in 2 different sequences, and I had to look it up because there was no way I was ever going to get it correct. It made me feel so dumb.
I feel like after you told me the solution, I feel like there had to have been some sort of clue that maybe you missed somewhere, like pixel numbers on a bunch of bushes or something.
If it was, I really want to like it, but I get so frustrated because I just can't figure it out. I don't know. But it's, like I said, it's pretty, I'm sure everyone's played it to the end by now, except for me. But,
not me. I've not played this game yet.
But once you do figure things out, you're like, oh, okay, that was interesting. But
my note to you yesterday was that you are too smart to figure out
I don't know about
the
that.
stuff in this game. Like, the solutions seems like they're deceptively simple solutions, so you start overthinking things, then perhaps you end up doing that thing that we always tend to do, where the solution's right in front of your face, but you are unable to see it because you're trying to overthink it too hard, which happens to me at least once a week on some game.
I don't know if that's the case, or if I'm just maybe not paying enough attention. I don't know. I just know that it's fun. It's not really high stress. It's pretty. It sounds nice. I like the character design, even though it seems like it's just pixely, but I really like the way that
Game was
they've done
was
it.
originally, I believe, an iPad game,
Was it?
which is why it's got like the touch control
Okay.
interface. That's why like double clicking and everything.
Yeah. Well, the part that I just showed you where it's the rainbow stuff, a little prompt comes up on the screen and it's like rub. I'm like, rub? What the hell?
Makes
And
sense.
it took me a few minutes to figure out that, oh, I need to click on my cursor and just drag it across this section over and over until something happens.
Yeah, I imagine that would have made much more sense
On an
a
iPad?
tablet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've played this game on both, on
Okay.
PC and on iPad, and the whole game makes a lot more sense on iPad. I've never actually finished it,
Okay.
but I will actually echo Nick and say that a lot of the puzzles in this game are really simple.
Oh, so I'm just making it more difficult.
You're over.
Probably.
It sounds like you're just overthinking it.
I swear to God, I just... Oh.
In fact, the most common puzzle in this game is tap on the things in the right order.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, because there was a section of like trees, and it was just tapping biggest to smallest and the things like that, but... yeah, maybe I'm just overcomplicating it.
Maybe with the sheep, like were the sheep buying?
Were they
You're-
buying?
Just click
don't
on them
know.
in the order that they make noise.
That one really threw me, because I was there for quite some time, and I was like, I just don't understand what to do. I'm either gonna stop playing, or I'm going to look it up. And eventually, I ended up looking it up despite myself. And again, like I said, it was a huge sequence of like, click sheep number 3754193. And I'm like, what? I would never have figured that out. Ever.
I am intrigued by this game, and I always have the best intentions to follow through and actually play it,
Yeah.
and I never do.
Well, this is what happens. I mean, if you're watching the videocast right now, you can see like there's not a lot going on the screen right now. But what I'm doing is I am clicking everywhere because I'm trying to figure out what combination of clicks in what places are going to actually work. And you know what you have to do. You're just not sure what is going to trigger the sequence of events, right? I don't know. It's just me, but
There's only so much you can do with an iPad.
well, I'm not. Yeah, I guess. But again, this is the kind of game where I got really frustrated with it, and I left it for a while, and I came back, and I'm not as frustrated with it now. I think I just need to.
You were pretty pissed off last night, but then you returned to it this morning, and I heard much less
Cursing.
and
Yeah.
groaning. So that's a positive.
But yeah, it's one of those games I think that I just can't sit down and session play it. Like I can't marathon it. I have to do it in little short chunks. I think it was intended to be played that way too.
Yes, you
So-
are. There is actually an achievement in this game for changing changing the clock on your computer to get the game to continue to go.
Oh really?
Yes, because I think, as you said, it's intended to be played in like daily spurts. But you can actually trick the game by changing your time clock, and there's an achievement for breaking it like that.
Yeah.
It's basically Animal Crossing.
Later on, there's puzzles revolving around like the phase of the moon.
Yeah, lunar phases and things like that.
Yeah.
I remember very early on playing, and the guy was like, "Okay, you should probably turn the game off now and go have a break." I'm like, "What?" I'm not
What is
gonna
this,
do
a
that.
Nintendo game?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those are the two things that I've been playing this week.
All right. You gonna try and finish this game this time? You'd be the one person on this podcast to actually finish this game.
I don't know. If I do, it won't be sequentially. Like, I'll probably leave it for a little bit, come back to it.
Hey, look, you just found the Triforce.
See, okay, this is where, remember I told you I kept dying?
Yeah.
This is it, because I'm not quite sure.
You have to fight the Triforce?
Yeah. Kinda.
Kinda?
Well,
yeah, I mean, it
the game is weird, so.
Yeah.
Oh my.
yeah. See,
Attack! Attack harder!
See, at the beginning, I was like, am I supposed to fight this? I know I'm supposed to collect it, but am I supposed to fight it? So I just start swinging my sword like a mad woman, and I didn't know what the heck to do. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I just need to shield from this. So it's trial and error. Eventually, it started attacking me, and I lost all those stars on the left-hand side.
I see. All right. Well, have to fill us in on your further adventures.
Yeah, I will.
Feel free to turn on the tweeting option.
I may actually look for this on iPad instead.
Okay.
If it makes more sense that way, like if it's more intuitive to control, then that might be a better way to do it.
Maybe it's cheap now.
I don't know. I'll have a look.
Jesus Christ, Sharon. All right. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought when you started swinging your sword at the giant thing. Okay.
You don't like my berserker attitude?
It's very interesting.
It goes across all games. It's not just one game I play like that. Barge in and swing fists.
Nick, what games would you like to talk about today?
Well, I played 2 older games also, and then one newer collection of games.
Okay.
So let's start with Jamestown.
Okay. I actually played a little bit of this too a while ago, so I'll be interested to hear what you think.
Yeah, so I always, being an old school video game fan, I've always wanted to like the shoot 'em up genre, like the space shmups, but I'm terrible at them. They're really
they're my
bad.
jam. I love them so much.
Yeah, I actually kind of would have put money on the fact that you would be a fan of this genre. And this is, at least in my limited expertise of the genre, is a really good one. I really like this game. This video is basically going to be me dying over and over and over again in the last level, because I can get to the boss every time, and then, or sometimes I die and then start over right away.
It's a pretty tough game.
Yeah.
As they usually are, but it's got I think the thing that it's got what I like to call score depth, which is sort of where this genre went once it kind of got past the simplified, like, Gradius or R-Type, where the objective was more or less, can you beat this ultra tough game? And then gamers got better and they're like, all right, we made an ultra tough game. You will eventually beat it, but once you do, if you'd really like to master it, maybe you could go for high score. Right. And this is one of those games.
I am still on the process of beating it, so
yeah,
I'm not even, like, I understand how the score systems in this game are pretty cool. That I actually really like the more complicated games in this genre more than the simpler ones. And this one has a lot going on. First of all, if you have the expansion, there's 8 different ships, which is cool. I love different ships in these games. And every single ship is, like, totally different. Like, this ship I'm using here in the video is it's called Ghost, and so each ship has, like, a main attack and then a secondary attack. Secondary attack for this ship is I can drop a ghost, which just is invincible and just moves through everything and just auto fires all the time.
Nice.
And then when you drop the ghost, your main ship has a sword, which is fun because it's limited range, but it's really powerful. But being limited range, obviously, sometimes it makes it a lot harder to dodge the bullets that are being fired out. And then there's also, this game has the vaunt system. Every ship can vaunt, which is you collect the little gold nuts and gears and stuff that pop out, and fills up that meter.
As Sharon would say.
Yep. And then you hit vaunt and you get, like, a little shield which absorbs all bullets for a small period, and then this is where the advanced scoring comes in. Then once that shield goes away, it starts ticking down your meter, kind of like a timer, and the longer, if you collect more golden bits while that meter is ticking down. It refills it, and the longer you can hold on to that meter, the bigger score you get when it empties.
Yeah, it's a pretty normal risk versus reward type of thing.
But also you can pop it, you can end it any time in order to get another smaller shield in the case of an emergency. So
it's a pretty nutty game.
I end up just using the shield part of the Vaunt thing for survival and never really worrying about the score so much because I'm still just trying to get through the damn game.
Yeah, I don't think you're farther than I got. I'll tell you that right off the bat. That said, if you're willing to go for a little bit of a score competition, I might be persuaded to rejoin the fight.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how far I got in this game. I think I actually started playing on harder difficulties, like some of the earlier stages, but I don't think I actually did much progression.
Right.
Oh my, the video stopped. Okay.
The thing about the last level in this game is you have to beat the whole rest of the thing on legendary or above to even unlock the last level.
Is this the last level?
As far as I know, yeah, it's the last one on that map.
Huh. Well then, I'm going to have to catch up to you.
I don't know. You probably don't realize this, Nick, but you've become a catalyst for Nick here in terms of achievements and score competition, whether you realize it or not.
We'll talk about that when we get to my games.
Yeah.
But
it's often like, oh, well, let's see how Nick did with this one. It's
Dang,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go defend some of my scores.
Well, I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get back around to me. But I mean, Jamestown it's a pretty cool game. My major criticism of it is that it's a vertical playing shooter, but it doesn't. Usually, when you have a vertical shoot 'em up, you either get like an arcade cabinet TV, which is sideways, or the game will just put two vertical bars on the left and right, so that you have more real estate going north and south, because that way you can actually see what's coming at you. This game is an up-down shooter that does not do that, so the amount of like playable real estate you have in front of you to see what's coming at you is very limited, and that kind of bugs me a little bit.
Yeah, I could totally see that. It does, however, also make... they take full use of the super wide playfield, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
One of the things that I dig so much about this game is there's multiple paths through every level.
Right.
And sometimes if you're having a hard time with one path, they're not always... Like, in this last level, they're very distinctly set out. Like, this is obviously a path and there's a wall here. But in other levels, it's more like the path becomes, which part of the enemy pattern do you want to tackle? And sometimes, like, that makes for another interesting strategy in the levels. Like, if you're having a hard time, go in one direction, then you change up your movement a little bit and tackle different sets of enemies, and maybe you'll have a better time that way or something. So yeah, I totally feel you, but I also think they did a good job of taking advantage of their wider playfield.
Yeah. I'm going to have to come back to this. See if I can beat some of your scores.
It probably won't be too hard, because...
You shouldn't say that. It's been, my glory days of shoot 'em ups are long gone.
Yeah.
It looks fun, though.
I never had glory days of shoot 'em ups. Like, that's what I was talking about. I've always loved these games, but I've always been really terrible at it.
There was a day in my younger years when I was playing like Radiant Silvergun every day for like a year.
Man. Yeah.
But yeah, those days are no longer with me. So sad. But yeah, Jamestown, I actually like this game too. But
yeah.
Anything else? What else have you been playing?
I've also been playing since everyone's been talking about Grand Theft Auto, and I don't have the money to buy it right now, and it's not on PC, and I don't know if I want to buy it even, but that reminded me that I never finished Sleeping Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs. This game's been on sale as low as like $6.50.
Has it?
Yeah.
It's like top of my wish list. I haven't played it yet. How do you like it?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. I mean, it's not going to blow anyone's mind. It's just a really solid open world crimey type game.
Crimey. Sorry.
That's perfect.
It's kind of got a lot going on with it. It's got like Batman style kung fu action. It's got gunplay. It's got tons of vehicles. It's got a pretty sizable, based on, I don't know how close it is, but based on Hong Kong City.
Okay.
It's got multiple, like, two major sides of the story. Basically, the story is you're an undercover cop who grew up in Hong Kong, went to America, became a cop, and then is now back on his home turf as an undercover to bust into the triad, the Chinese mafia.
Yeah.
And you're using all your connections from when you were a kid to get into the the mafia, and then work your way up the ladder. But it's all in service of it's on the surface, it's in service of your duties as an undercover cop. But really, Wei Shan, the main character of the game, his real motivations is trying to uncover what happened to his sister and get revenge for the people that were responsible for pushing drugs on her and
Messing her up.
messing her up and eventually killing her, or
But his real motivations are karaoke.
Yeah, there's a ton of mini games in this. There's karaoke. There's poker with mahjong tiles.
Yep.
But I mean, I play this game in chunks. Like, I play it pretty heavily for a few days, and then I get kind of bored of it, and I end up deleting it, and then I reinstall it like a few months later. Play a little bit more. The controls, like the fighting is really great. The gunplay isn't super great, but
man, look at that matte painting. Sorry, I was looking like in the store, and it was just an image of the inside of a store.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Flat stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I really dig it. If you see it on sale,
Get it
somewhere, pick it up. It's also the game. It's kind of impossible to talk about this game without talking about its kind of ridiculous lineage.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention that this was originally supposed to be a sequel to the True Crime series.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, actually, even before that, it was going to be a totally original game.
Which it actually ended up being.
Right. It was going to be some original game under some other title with a lady, with a heroine, lady heroine, as the main character. But then it was picked up by like Activision, I think, right? They're the guys that published. Yeah. Picked up by Activision, and then Activision said, all right, ditch the lady, and then turn this into a game in our True Crime series. And then the game was like almost done, and they said, you know what, we changed our mind. And
We don't want this anymore.
They sold the assets. Square Enix picked it up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this game, when Activision dropped it, I think they dropped a lot of stuff like at the same time. I think Brutal Legend was in there too.
Oh, really?
Like, it was part of the same group of games that Activision was like, oh, we got to pare this down a little bit.
Yeah,
And
there were a bunch of games that were dropped. I think
Yeah.
Brutal Legend was EA partners, though.
I think EA picked them up. Is what happened.
Oh.
Like
Oh,
originally
I-
it was Activision, and then EA came in and was like, "All right, we'll take you."
Gotcha.
So Square picked this one up.
Yep. And then they finished it off and turned it into its own, again, like unique thing.
Yeah.
And it turned out really well.
Huh.
Like it's
Yeah.
not gonna blow anyone's mind, but I like that it sort of straddles the line between what I think is the straight up pretentious Grand Theft Auto series and the straight up completely ridiculous Saints Row series. Like there are totally, definitely ridiculous bits in this game, and you could do all kinds of ridiculous stuff.
Whoops.
And the game, for the most part, doesn't. Yeah, also, it's got some major
Some slight boat hopping issues.
but it's also just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say light because there is some genuine stuff in the story of this game. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, that got dark in a hurry.
Yeah, and you can during the during the
Watching this video is quite fun, actually.
Especially with no context.
yeah, I was hitting buttons because I haven't played this game in a while,
Great.
and I was like, is there a button for me to like turbo boost this boat? And then I hit the get out of the vehicle.
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
oh shit.
Fuck that. Let's swim.
You are chasing the boat.
Yep.
All right.
Love it.
Yeah, the next time this goes on sale, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
Especially after my most recent Saints Row playthrough. I think I still like playing these kinds of games.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, this one's been on my radar for a long time, but I've never I don't, other than you, Nick, haven't known anybody who's actually put a good amount of time into it and been able to talk of it in a way that says, yes, I need to play this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a fun game. Like, I don't want to oversell it, but I don't want to undersell it either. Like,
Right.
it's just a really solid open world crime game. And if you like those games, you should probably play it. But I don't know, to use the cliche of for fans of the genre.
It's worth mentioning this game goes on sale all the time. Like,
Yeah.
all the time. So the next time it pops up, do yourself a service and pick it up.
It also has a bunch of really fun, like, weird side DLC.
Yeah, like
Okay.
the,
Like,
the
there's
zombie
a-
one.
Yeah, there's one. It's actually a lot more interesting than just zombies. There's like a Halloween-themed DLC it's kind of like that Red Dead Redemption thing, where it's like sort of outside the main continuity of the game. But it's cool because it deals with a bunch of Chinese mythology and Chinese horror tropes and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, there's zombies, but they're I forget what they're called now.
Those hopping things.
Yeah, they're the hopping
What?
zombies with the paper on their face.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I
There's
just
a
don't
name
know what
for
they're
those,
called.
and they're awesome. They're in Spelunky too.
Are they? I don't remember.
Yeah, they're
that.
in the ghost level of the jungle.
Yeah, I guess you're right. They are.
There's the little blue guys with the
That's
things and
funny.
they hop around.
Totally forgot about that.
And one of the characters of that fighting game, Capcom fighting game, the monsters, whose name I can't remember right now.
Oh, Darkstalkers.
Darkstalkers, yeah. One of those characters is the same thing. But anyways, yeah, I dig Sleeping Dogs. Play it or don't. I don't know.
Okay,
That's
what
my
else?
recommendation.
Anything else you've been playing?
Yeah. The third thing I've been playing has actually been a collection of games put out. It's called the Experimental Game Pack 01. It's put out by the LA Game Space, which is a
Oh, okay.
non-profit organization of like research and independent development and stuff like that. It's kind of like one of those places. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this sort of thing, but you ever seen do you guys know of like the maker clubs
Yes.
or anything like that? Like
Yeah.
it seems to me to be like, it's kind of hard to find info on the place actually, but it seems to me to be kind of like a maker club for video games.
Oh,
That's cool.
Yeah. And this pack was put out by people that are involved in that and probably hang out at the game space and maybe have made them during classes there. But there's a bunch of people involved that are, with these games that are really, quite notable. Like that first game that you saw called Alphabet was made by Keita Takahashi, creator of Katamari Damacy.
Mm-hmm.
they remind me of kitchen magnets.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I actually didn't even think about that, but that's totally true. But yeah, there's just it's a pack of, I think there's 23 games in it now, but there will be 33 eventually.
Excuse
And
me.
you get all of them. You get the 23 that are out when you buy it, and then you'll get the rest later when they are released. And it's $15 for over 30 games of various experimentality and weirdness. And experimentality, I don't think that's a word.
It's
Oh,
really it's a great concept.
Yeah, and I love weird. I love weirdness. I love the bizarre and the surreal.
Are you in a canoe being attacked
Yeah.
by panthers? I just don't understand.
Yeah, they're on the shore. Look.
Yeah.
Duh.
Well, pardon me.
Can't you see that? I like the negatives of the trees flashing in the background. Also, I just want to say, for anybody who wants to look up this experimental game pack, you can go to lagamespace.org, and it'll reroute you directly to the experimental game pack 1.
Yep.
So
Yeah, if you're into new stuff, if you like checking out new stuff, if you're into weirdness, if you're into experimentation, like artistic experimentation, definitely check it out. There are a bunch of what some people would call artsy fartsy kinds of games, which I'm super into myself, but I don't begrudge anyone for not being into that. But then there are also games that are very much gamer games, like this game actually in the video called Depth, which is sort of a very much a Portal kind of a thing,
Yeah.
except its gimmick is the blue cubes that you see around. There's blue cubes in every area, and you can click on them to basically stick them at the perspective that you see them into the environment.
oh, that's cool.
It's kind of hard to explain, and I don't know if this part of the video is really making what I'm doing clear.
But it's sort of changing perspective, or maintaining perspective as you move through the environment.
Right, like that cube was just hanging in the air, like it was a little tiny cube. There's just little tiny cubes. Sometimes they're tiny, sometimes they're bigger, just hanging in the air. And when you click on them, it affixes them to the environment at the same perspective that you're looking at them.
Right.
So, like if you're looking at it, if you're right up next to the cube, and see this part of the video will probably clearly
Yeah.
so you click on it, and then it sticks it there, and then it becomes a big cube that's stuck in this spot. I don't feel like I'm explaining it very well.
I think I think I get it.
Yeah.
For people that are listening to the audio part of this video,
Well, they should go check it out, basically.
yeah, really you should go buy it. But I was stuck on this room I still haven't gotten past this room. I can't figure it out. Yeah, I really, really love this pack of games. There's just so much just fun experimentation, and just obviously people that love games and love what they're doing, just messing around and making truly unique new stuff.
VHS tapes.
I'm really obsessed with this game. This game is this is also probably one of the more accessible games in the pack. It's you're a clerk in a VHS store in a video rental place, and customers come in over on the left there. You see the little window text boxes, and people ask for recommendations. Basically, like someone will come in and say, "We have a bug problem, but my husband. Do you have a video that I can show my husband to convince him to call an exterminator?" And like a horror movie with bugs.
Right. That's fantastic.
If you find the right video for them, you get money. They rent it. But if you don't, you get a little bottom. And it's basically you get like 20 customers, and they're randomized out of a larger set, so you will get the same ones the more you replay it.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
But also the videos are randomized every time, so you have to go find them again.
They're real movies? It looks like they're real movies.
Yeah, they're all real stuff.
Most of them are bad movies, but
Yeah, most are really bad. I've recognized more than a handful of them from episodes of Mystery Science Theater also.
That's great.
such as Erotic Kill.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really
And
fun.
there's physics on the videos, as you can see. I'm dragging them around, and
I kind of
think
like
if you
how that
skip
works.
ahead a little bit, I end up like getting frustrated, and I just rip all the videos off of the shelves. And then when you pull them completely off the shelf, they just kind of float around in space.
Oh.
Like there's no gravity or something once they're off the shelf. Yeah, it's silly, and I don't know. I've played this game a bunch, actually, trying to get a perfect score, and just trying to figure out like what movies they want.
Inframan, of course. I don't even know what that means.
I still have some of my VHSs lying around somewhere.
Useless. They're absolutely useless, except for in video games. All right. Well, I mean,
That's really cool.
This stuff is all free, right?
No,
No,
it's
it's not free.
$8 for the pack.
Oh, okay, my bad.
But it's all, it's completely. It ends up being a donation because it's nonprofit. It's,
and it probably goes towards making sure, excuse me, making sure like LA Game Space keeps going. You know?
Yeah, totally. It's all for the LA game space, which is, seems to me to be a pretty great thing to support. Because, it gives people that might not otherwise have access to the technology to make games,
Yeah.
And that's cool.
All right, cool. Anything else you've been playing?
Nope, that's it, really.
All right, cool. I guess I get to go now, huh?
Yep.
All right, so I have been continuing my quest to raise my average completion rate on Steam. I take this very personally. Whenever you look at your Steam profile, it tells you the percentage of each game that you've completed via achievements, and my percentage I considered to be very low. It was like 34%. I've managed to get it as high as 38%. It has since dropped down to 37%. So I've started looking on my Steam list for games that I own that I don't know how I got them, which consequently enough is most of them. So I've been kind of digging around for some things that I should play, and this kind of ties into the whole indirectly competing with Nick, because a lot of the games that I've chosen are games that Nick has played probably as long ago as 2 years previous, but he has scores in these games that I have attempted to beat. So the one game this week that I will talk about, well, I played 2 games, only one of them is one of these types of games, but it's a game called Shatter.
I love Shatter.
It's pretty cool, actually. I'm kind of mixed on how I feel about it, because sometimes I really like it, and other times I can't figure out what's going on. So it's basically a Breakout / Arkanoid clone. A game in which you have a bat at the bottom or side of the screen, and you are trying to keep a ball in play as you break things. However, you can have up to 3 balls into play at once, and you control how many balls you want. You can have one, or you can have more than one. And then as you break things, you collect all these little blue orbs, which you can use to power up your bat, which in turn allows you to throw out like all these little these needles that basically tear open everything on the screen. So there's
like
a lot
machine gun.
Yeah, exactly. So the game is very risk reward in terms of if you want to play it safe, have one ball out there and just, break open everything very slowly, you can do that. And you will get a very low score, but you will probably finish the level. And as I have already foreshadowed, I am going for a very high score because, Nick, you have some standing scores that I was intending to beat. So I went ahead and beat all your scores, except for one. There is actually one score of yours that I was not able to beat, so it is still there. But beyond that, I decided to just go in and terrorize the leaderboard a little bit.
But I like how your competition is always, well, let's see. Oh, Nick's been playing this game. Let's see his score. First, I need to beat him. Then I need to beat the world.
Yes,
like
that's how
Nick
it works.
And the world. That's the
right.
order.
It all starts with like local competition, and then once I destroy the local competition, then it's my job to determine how it is I can defeat the rest of the world. So the scoring in this game is a little weird. Parts of the frustration with this game is that the scoring is not always super obvious. Like there's a multiplier in the top right, which you can raise by breaking things, but also by collecting the blue pieces. But the multiplier resets after each stage, so the multiplier is always the highest when there are the least amount of bricks on the screen, which is kind of counterintuitive. And from me, who we were talking when we were talking about Jamestown, just like obsessing over how to get high scores, it bothers me when there doesn't seem to be a super obvious way to get a high score. Like there's times where after the first wave in Shatter, like literally the first wave, I've had 20 million points, but I can't figure out how to do it again, and I don't know what I did to get the 20 million points. So beyond that, the game's actually pretty long and involved. It's got 10 stages, each with 7 or 8 waves. Most of them have 7. I think one of them has 8. So it's basically like a little over 80 levels in the game, and each one has a boss battle at the end, which we'll show off here in a little bit. And the bosses usually have a weak point that you have to hit with a ball, and it's all fairly basic, like standard Arkanoid / Breakout stuff. However, there is like a gravity aspect in this game as well. So your paddle, you can use the left and right triggers, or if you're playing on a controller, I guess 2 buttons, where you can blow air out or suck air in, and you can use that to determine the trajectory of the balls as they move around, which is pretty cool. They also will suck in or blow out some of the pieces on the field, because a lot of the pieces are like being held by other gravity generating devices, and if they get destroyed, then all the pieces will fall down and crush you. And if you get crushed, you don't lose a guy or anything, but your paddle goes away, and if your paddle goes away, you can't bounce balls back, and that becomes a problem. So it's kind of like this whole risk reward of trying to get the most points, trying to keep the balls blown out into the field, but then also sucking in all of the good stuff, and trying to balance everything perfectly while also trying to keep as many as 3 balls out in the field at one time. It can get pretty crazy. Here's the first boss in the game. It's like a giant snake thing, and like I said, you just hit it in its head, and that hurts it. But when you hit it in its body, it releases all the blue jewel things, the shards as they call them, and you gotta let this snake spit out a whole bunch of shards, and then you suck them all in to power up your shard storm, and then you shoot it in the head until it dies. It's actually, I think I'm just about to do it in this video, so oh yeah, here it comes.
So, but you had fun with it.
Yeah, I had fun with it. There's a couple things, like, I mean, there's an achievement for beating the whole game without continuing, and I actually got to the last boss in the game and then died. And how long would you say it took me to beat like all 80x levels?
I don't know,
like,
a few hours.
I don't know if it was a few hours. It was at least 60 minutes.
Oh, it was more than that.
I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty cool game. I also like games where the score goes up a lot. It's very empowering. Like, after you beat the first level and you have a score of 50 million, it's
It's good for the ego.
Yeah, it's better, like, the games where you beat the first level. Hey, your score is 125. It's like, 125? That's not empowering at all. But then you come here, it's like, oh yeah, 50 million, you're ranked 1400 in the world. Like, what? And then you check the scoreboard, and there's people who have high scores after stage 1, like in the billions. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you're clearly a cheater.
Oh,
But
that's
so yeah, I mean, this game's pretty cool. I, again, don't remember how I got this game. I would love to know, but I'm glad I have it. I might go back to it a little bit, but I think I've seen most of what this game has to offer, and
you
it's
liked
pretty
it.
cool.
Well, you
Yeah.
played it all the way, so.
I did. I played the whole thing. Always try to play the whole thing.
I have always really loved the Breakout. I have a soft spot for Breakout and Arkanoid
Yeah, me too.
type games, and I don't know. I'm gonna gush a little bit since what you were saying was a little. I mean,
No,
good,
I really like this game. There
Yeah.
are some things that whenever I lose a ball, it's often because I feel like I got cheaped. Like it was kind of like a cheap
really?
rip-off situation, but maybe it's just because I haven't mastered all of the techniques.
Yeah, I mean, once you really get a handle on the sucking and blowing, you get a lot of control over the balls.
Man,
This
are we
is
still talking about Shatter?
I have to say we made a record for going the longest without calling out the
Yes.
references.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't know what you do with this type of game that Shatter hasn't done.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they really have like piled on the mechanics in a way.
Yeah.
So,
and also, I want to mention the music is fantastic.
Yes, I will agree with you there.
I agree too.
Part of the reason why I kept playing was because I was like, well, this game is so far is not too striking, but the music's pretty good.
Well, this is one of those things too where it was like, okay, I have some work to do. We're working in the same room. Nick, play something with good music so that I can enjoy it while I work, and this fit the bill.
Yeah, and I am also big on Breakout games. When I was a kid, I owned Arkanoid for the Nintendo with that like crazy controller that breaks after you use it 3 times. I still have it around here somewhere, and it's still broken. I should just open it and fix it. I also played a lot of Alleyway on the Game Boy. I'm like the only person I know who actually beat that game. Like, there's an end to that game. I did not even know it. But one day I got to it and finished
here's
it.
one of the things I really dislike about that game, about Shatter here, is the circular levels.
The circular levels are kind of a pain in the ass. I never feel like the gravity is working properly. Like things are not going in the right direction. But it takes a little bit of practice, and eventually you get a little better at it. But yeah, the round levels can go die in a fire. But yeah, Shatter's, it's pretty cool. I don't know how much it costs anymore because this game came out like 3 years ago. So.
I'm pretty sure it was part of a bundle, like a Humble Bundle, because
Probably.
I also have this game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Give it a go. Yeah, apparently, if you can see the video, my high score for the world score is actually 363 million. So
you're calling for challenges?
calling for challenges. Let's see what you got. Okay, yeah. So that's Shatter. Unless anyone has anything else to add on Breakout clones.
No.
No. Okay.
Can't go wrong.
You ever played Wizorb?
Yeah, actually, I've beaten Wizard. That was
nice.
that was a pretty good game too.
Yeah. That game's hard.
It's pretty hard. So we'll have to talk about Wizorb another time. I can probably pull up some footage of that. The other game that I've been playing, again, just totally kind of randomly out of nowhere, I found a game in my Steam inventory called EDGE, which I started playing. Doesn't look like anyone else on my friends list in Steam anyway has put a whole lot of time into this. It looks like, for instance, Nick, you've played this. However, it didn't look like you played it a whole lot. And I came close to also being that guy who did not play it a whole lot. Like, you basically play as this cube. It's an isometric game. You roll around in the cube, and the cube more or less acts as you would expect it to, but it kind of has like sticky corners, I guess you'd say. So you can stick to the sides of edges and just kind of hang there, hence the name Edge. And it takes a long time to figure out the mechanics of this game. When I first started playing, I was so frustrated. The controls are really touchy. Even like I'm playing it with a 360 controller, using an analog stick, and it's really touchy. There'll be times I'll push like left to go up onto something, and my cube just won't get to the top, and so I'll push a little bit harder on the analog, and I'll roll right over the damn thing into a pit. Super touchy controls. Which I guess means you have more control, like if you actually decide to, really go deep into this. But it can be frustrating at times, and I think I probably played this for like a good hour or so before I think I started getting the hang of things. Tons of levels in this game. I think there's probably at least 100 levels in this game, and for what it's worth, they're all designed really well. You're never terribly confused about where to go next. I've already played maybe like 60 of the 100 levels of this, and there aren't any like open levels where it's like, oh, go left and get this, then go right and get this. They're actually quite linear. So you always kind of know what the next objective in each level is. And whoever programmed this game must have had a lot of fun, because the levels all feature a lot of very unique play styles. Like sometimes you'll jump over a pit by hitting a switch, and sometimes the switch will just move like all these blocks. And then there are times where you hit a switch and the blocks will form a body around your block, and then you will suddenly be a human. Like it's weird. There's really weird stuff. But I've grown to enjoy this game a little more as I've played it. It seems like a lot of the scoring is super difficult. I've gotten a lot of on a typical video game rank D to S plus. I've gotten a lot of A's, but I've not gotten many S's, and I've gotten quite a few C's and D's as well. So.
I'm pretty sure it's all time-based, isn't it?
It is time-based. Time and death-based.
Right.
But the trick to this game is if you are hanging on an edge, which I probably do not show a whole lot of in this video, but you can kind of hang on an edge infinitely if you have like amazing timing and control. And for every fraction of a second that you're hanging on an edge, not only does that time not count towards your total time, but it is subtracted from your total time. So realistically, you could do the whole level in a minute and then spend a minute like hanging on one block, and you'd have a time of 0 seconds.
I did not know that.
I don't know if it's actually possible to have a 0 time, but you could definitely get some seriously low times by cheesing the system. At least it feels that way, and I haven't really gotten to that point yet.
I totally remember when I played this game seeing people on the leaderboards that are like, how did you possibly do this level in that amount of time? So,
now you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I guess that you'd say that's probably advanced gameplay. I have not gotten to that point, not even close. But maybe I will. I don't know. I think I've enjoyed this enough that I kind of want to see things through a little bit. And for what it's worth, the achievements in this game are all very level specific. So they'll be like, do this specific thing in this specific level. And I actually really like those kinds of achievements. They're better than like beat the whole game with S plus ranks, which that shit just pisses me off. Like give me a good excuse to play one level over and over and over again to try and achieve like one silly thing. Like I like that kind of stuff. So game obviously not much to look at. It's just like gray cubes and stuff. But
I should really like the look of it.
Yeah, it's very
minimalistic in a really pleasing way.
It's super clean. Because it's super clean, the frame rate is actually excellent. This video did not turn out that well. It doesn't do it very good justice, but the frame rate in this game is super solid.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how I got this game, but I got it, and now I'm playing it. Yeah, I guess I don't really know what else to say about it. It's cool, but like the first 30 to 40 minutes you play it are like the most frustrating 30 to 40 minutes. I seriously contemplated just quitting and choosing something else to play. I'm kind of glad I stuck it out because things got pretty cool, especially some of the later levels that throw some pretty interesting things at you, but I really had to get to that point first.
I actually recommend playing this game with either the keyboard or a D-pad.
Yeah, actually, one of the tricks I found while I was playing this, I play most of the levels with an analog stick, but whenever I need to do an edge hang, I switch to the D-pad, because if you just tap the D-pad really quick, you can hang on an edge pretty much forever without even thinking. So I actually I found myself switching my thumb back and forth between the analog pad and the D-pad depending on what I had to do. But I would agree with that. I imagine playing with a keyboard in this game would not be terribly difficult, but I'm super anti-keyboard with video games. So, it's just a personal preference, man. Don't get on me for it. So, yeah. Give it a shot, I guess. It's cool. It doesn't have like a whole lot of personality, obviously, because it's all just geometric shapes. But it's neat. It's neat. Glad I played it. And that's pretty much all I've been playing. Other than that, you and I and Sharon went ahead and played more La Mulana for La Mulana Rama on Wednesday, and we did pretty well on that. And you guys want to talk about that for a sec?
I don't really want to say too much because I want people to join us on Wednesdays at 7.
Okay.
Or no, it's 8 Eastern, right? 8 Eastern?
Yes,
yeah.
8 Eastern.
On Wednesdays. Yep. But what I will say is that right now La Mulana is on sale for $3 on Steam.
$3. Go buy it.
So if anybody wants to watch or thinks that they can cut the mustard better than us.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put this in the news also, but La Mulana 2 was just announced this week.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that means after we beat this one, we'll have something new to go through. Although that game probably won't be out for a while.
Actually, it looks like the protagonist of 2 is a lady adventurer that looks kind of a lot like a blonde Sharon, actually.
Great.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
so La Mulana Rama, moving right along. We'll be back again on Wednesday for episode 3 of that, which should be a pretty interesting episode because we're starting to get to parts of the game that I am not familiar with.
Yay!
Which, for whatever reason, Sharon really seems to like.
I am really into this all of a sudden. This figuring out as a team thing is really, like, I'm excited. Like, Wednesdays it's a great way to break up the week. It's like, oh, it's Wednesday. So, but wait, it's La Mulana Rama Day.
So, we'll hit up episode 3 of that in a few days. So that's what we're playing.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah, that is a lot of things. So why don't we take a break? We'll take a 5-minute break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the news that happened this week. Yeah? You guys cool with that?
And take a look at what's coming out.
Yep. We'll do that too.
Okay.
All right, cool. We'll be right back. If you're listening live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Guys, we are back from our long break. Woo! It was really long. It was like 20 hours of break.
Man, we had to fight off all those dragons.
I really liked that part.
Yeah.
But there were no princesses.
Hey.
Just princes.
I liked the princes.
Me too.
Damn it. How did I become the minority here? Alright, it is the the second half of our podcast. This is the part where we talk about all the news that happened in the week.
Stuff.
Let's talk about some news. Sharon.
Yes, sir.
You are our news wrangler. Pardon
Classy.
me. Woo!
We all kind of wrangle the news a little bit, but
Yeah.
let's just jump in.
Go for it.
Okay, so there was a game last year that I forced you to play with me called Twisted Metal.
Yep.
And because I was a longtime fan of Twisted Metal and Jaffe, but as soon as that came out and did not do so well, actually I think before it came out, he left the company and started doing his own thing, and now he's on to something else. And I think, Nick, you've got the word from the street on what he's up to.
Yeah, so this is from a really kind of weird and fascinating interview on Polygon, which I totally recommend everyone go read, because it's it's something else.
David Jaffe has a way with words.
Yeah.
He's really interesting to listen to. I don't know if any of you have listened to him speak, but
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. I completely agree with that. So his new thing, his new game studio, it's sort of up in the air still, whether this is all just some, like, fun, like, world building that they're doing, but what am I trying to say? Sorry, get to the point. So his next game is about ghost hunting.
okay.
And the game is supposedly funded by a real-life 80-year-old ghost hunter that's been doing it his whole life.
Wow.
That's quite a pursuit.
Yeah. And they've set up like a Twitter account for this guy, and they've got an office that's like full of supposed artifacts from his adventures throughout the years. Like one of them being a door from a barn door, or a piece of a bedroom door from the Becker farm, which was case number 12, demonic possession, October 16th, 1956.
I find it all very silly.
Yeah, it's supposedly splattered with blood from this exorcism that this guy, what's the name of the guy? I forget now.
Bartlett Jones.
Bartlett Jones, yeah, is the name of the guy, and that's the name of the game that they're making. Also, is the Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency.
Wow, this is not at all what I would have expected him to be working on.
Yeah, I know. And if you go to the Twitter account of Bartlett Jones, like it's all really fascinating. Who knows if this is just some big like ARG or like some kind of, outside like PR combined with world building for the game, but I kind of love it. I kind of love all of it. I don't care. Obviously there's got to be some, there's no way it's totally 100% true, but
Jaffe's so weird.
Jaffe insists that that this is a real dude, and that all of this is completely 100% legit. And that insistence also just like continues to
Right.
fascinate me about this. The whole thing is just so awesome and weird.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think about this, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, though.
I'm coming at this at the same. I love the supernatural, and I love horror movies, and even though I love the supernatural, obviously, I don't believe that their ghosts are really a thing, but I sort of like, one of my favorite guilty pleasures is Ghost Hunters on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I'm coming at this the same way I come at that, and that is I'm just not thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying it for what it is, and not trying to like analyze if it's real and try to poke holes in it and all that kind of stuff.
Which one is Ghost Hunters? I can never keep them all straight.
Not the Dude Bro one that we used to make
The Dude
fun
Bro
of.
one is the funny one though, where Zach tries to like punch ghosts.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember. Yeah, it was years ago. I think it was just starting out, and Nick and I came across it, and it was like a couple of dude bros in tight t-shirts, and they were like egging on these ghosts and stuff.
Yeah, we watched that very ironically.
It was fun though. But I think the interesting thing here is to watch how Jeffy is approaching game development this time around, because he has a very keen sense of the industry and has made lots of comments after leaving big productions that the industry is sort of changing, and I think his approach is going to be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah. Also, as much as I enjoy listening to the dude, and I don't always agree with what he's saying,
Right?
and I think sometimes he can be kind of a bullheaded about things, but I always find him entertaining, and I do respect the dude, but he hasn't really had a whole lot of success
No.
since God of War, to be honest.
We're watching some God of War footage right now, and that's really the last time that he's put out anything that was maybe worth playing. Because then it was Calling All Cars, which was a PS3 downloadable title back when no one was downloading titles on the PS3.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he did Twisted Metal, which was not good. It was not good.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it wasn't good. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think he gets a lot of respect because he tells things like it is, and I'm seriously down with that mentality. But eventually you gotta make a freaking game worth playing.
Yeah.
But this will be interesting.
Yeah. What else we got?
Let's see. Oh, Steambox. No, there's a talk about some announcements from Steam. I don't know, Nick, do you want to field this one for us?
Sure. Apparently Steam is going to make games for cats.
I'm not sure I believe that.
I love if you're listening to this or you want to go to the website and follow the links, there's a little image of a cat next to a controller. And it's the funniest thing I've seen.
This is a joke, right? Like, this is just a placeholder for something bigger? Like,
yeah, there's a countdown timer on the page. So.
Oh, okay. So as a tribute to this, I have queued up many videos of cats.
I didn't know you were going to do that.
So we can watch lots of cats doing silly things, because you know what? Steam's making games for cats, so here's a bunch of cats doing really dumb things.
I don't know. What do you think this is? Is this the Steam console that everyone keeps?
I can't wait to play some games made for cats.
Oh, that cat got kicked. Oh.
We're just gonna watch dumb. This video's 20 minutes long, guys.
Okay, we're not watching all.
We can watch cats getting hurt for 20 minutes.
No. He's afraid of the popcorn. You should never have done this.
I did it specifically for this reason.
Oh.
The audio version of this podcast is now wrecked.
Yes, that's okay.
It just means that people should be joining us on Saturdays.
It's just cats. It's just
All right,
cats
so yeah,
just jumping poorly.
The page is really kind of cryptic. It just says the Steam universe is expanding in 2014.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 circles down at the bottom. And the first one has a timer underneath it.
Yep.
And then there's a short little paragraph about big picture and that they're working on even more ways to connect the dots and get Steam games in your living room and stuff like that.
I can read it.
People are surmising that it's going to be, Steam box announcements, stuff like that. I actually think that one of these, and this is maybe a little out of left field, I actually don't know how much this is going to be true, but there was an announcement by the company that makes the Game Stick shoot. That I can't. I was gonna look this up before we started, and then I didn't do that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So the company that is making the Game Stick, which is going to be another micro console, similar to the Ouya, is PlayJam is the name of the company.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an article on Gamasutra last week about the Game Stick and about how they're making this Game Stick thing, but then also PlayJam is actually creating a whole ecosystem of trying to get their ecosystem into the living room in a multitude of ways. Like, for example, apps on already established set-top boxes and apps built into smart TVs and stuff like that, so that they're kind of going one step beyond Ouya in that if you make a game for PlayJam, the PlayJam ecosystem, then it could potentially be on a multitude of devices. But then they also, a part of this announcement was also like a cryptic little bit about how they are partnering with a well-known company involved in digital distribution.
Who could that be?
Yeah, so it's either going to be Valve with Steam or EA with Origin, because that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much
they're
it.
not going to. This is the two biggest ones, and I don't think they're going to partner with Good Old Games. That seems like it would be a weird thing, and it would also be weird to partner with like Green Man, because they really just sell Steam keys.
Right.
So.
So it looks like at this point, for anyone listening live, it's 45 hours away.
Yeah, it'll be on Monday.
Yeah.
So all three of these announcements are going to be next week, supposedly.
The icons are funny too. The three icons in the circles. I keep trying to figure out what they mean. What do they mean?
It kind of looks like it suggests that the first one is going to be an announcement, and then the second announcement might be like that the first announcement is going to be part of something larger.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last announcement is going to be how things connect together.
Right.
Okay. If it means I can play Steam games in the living room, then awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be on board with that. I'm not interested in buying one of those super PCs that they're probably going to try and schlock off on me, but...
The one thing I will say is there's a lot of speculation going on around the net, as there always is with every Valve announcement, about games being announced in this, and I just don't see any.
Everybody wants the Half-Life 3 announcement, which of course is not coming.
Right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's not coming. But also, some people are. The cat jumped in the garbage. Some people have also been saying Left 4 Dead 3, which just seems out of nowhere to me. Like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Why would
really
they
still
put that
doing
in
that
here?
That doesn't seem quite as big as this probably will be.
So yeah, we'll have to wait. And Monday, guess what? We can talk about it again next week. And next week, hopefully, we won't be talking about games for cats.
Yeah.
Unless they really are making a game for cats.
Are
there TV stations for cats now?
No, there's a TV station for dogs.
Oh.
And unfortunately, I don't have any dog videos queued up. So. Except for maybe this one. All right, that's enough. That's enough cat videos. What else is happening out there?
Well, shortly after Diablo 3 hit console, Blizzard has announced that they're going to take away the real money auction houses.
Good idea. It's actually they're taking both auction houses. Yeah.
And they're going to do this as of March 18th, so there's still a little bit of time. But it's gone.
Yay!
It basically ruins the game. Like
it really does.
Like you are not. There's no incentive to go out and find your own gear ever. So
the game is also completely balanced so that you pretty much have to go to the auction house.
Yeah.
To get good stuff, and browsing an auction house listing is not a fun game. It's not fun. I don't get it.
I didn't buy eBay.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a little more sense in the context of an MMO where there's a whole economy going on, but there's no crafting in Diablo. There's no gathering. So
Yeah.
Now there's
really
just
isn't-
loot grinding.
Well,
Yeah.
they said that the Loot 2.0 system coming with the Reaper of Souls expansion will bring Diablo back to its roots of monster killing and loot collection.
Good.
So,
Maybe then I'll play it again.
Yeah.
I'm actually just more surprised it's going to take them so long after this announcement to
take it
enact
out.
it. Like
Yeah.
March is still a really long ways away. You know? So
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I wish
September.
It was a lot sooner.
I mean, that's still half a year away.
And I know there's probably a lot going on. Well, there's definitely a lot going on than this, but to an outside observer, it kind of seems like, well, you guys already did the work with the console version. Why don't you just
Poured it over.
put those numbers for those loot tables into the PC game now? But I'm sure there's way more going on than that.
Yeah. Is Diablo 3 a $60 game on consoles?
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
Wow.
Fuck that idea. I was
Yeah.
thinking, maybe I'll just play it on PS3 or something. Nope. Not for that price.
Yeah, and like I think I said this on Twitter. We might have talked about this before already on this podcast, but I would love if they put backported the controller support and same screen multiplayer to the PC version also, because I'd love to play this game with Matt, but not buying it again.
Yeah, it's kind of... They could also get rid of the always online part. But again, that excuse has been used countless times, so we won't go into that right now
Alright.
about how crappy always online DRM is.
Yeah.
But there were some suggestions that the always online portion of it was so people would not cheat the online auction house. So now that the
Right.
online auction house is going away, then do we really need to be always online anymore? I don't know.
well, regardless.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and play it some more. Maybe I won't. I tell you, I have not thought much about Diablo 3 since we stopped playing it. Like the driving urge to continue to play it went
Not-
away pretty quickly.
Not like how we need to get back to Torchlight.
Yeah,
Torchlight.
sure. Yes.
I want to play Torchlight with you guys too.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's all play Torchlight.
Yay.
All right. I have a lot of catching up to do.
No, it doesn't take long.
Okay. We'll play some more Torchlight.
Yeah.
That'll be a Thursday night thing. I don't know. We'll pick a different night. Torchlight 2 Electric
Just
Boogaloo.
casually. We don't have to stream. We just get, or we can, but
Okay.
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a thing, like a weekly thing. It can just be for fun.
Sure. I'm game. I'm always
Alright.
game.
So just like any other time where something tragic happens in the news, video games are being blamed for gun violence in the world, and something ridiculous came out of somebody's mouth this week in which it was suggested that there should be a video game registry for violent games. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I kind of put my opinion in there. I probably should have held back, but yeah, talking about monitoring the people who are buying first-person shooters and how much time they're spending with violent video games.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous, and I kind of wanted your feedback. I mean, obviously, I've said mine already, is that I think this is ridiculous, and I think the connection that constantly gets made to video games and real-world violence is flaky at best, and I wish that the mass media would stop doing it.
Yeah, I honestly kind of... I was surprised when these conversations came up again, because I was like, wait a minute, isn't Jack Thompson... Like, is his specter still
His
hosting-
ghost is still out
Is the
there.
ghost still haunting video games?
It's a pretty...
I was like, I thought we were over this.
I mean, you know what it is? It's just sensationalist garbage at this point. some people trying to come up with excuses. Basically, it's the people who don't like the thought of gun control trying to find other avenues of discussion. Be like, hey guys, what about video games? They're
It's
pretty.
just, it's always the easy default, and how long do we take it before someone?
You know what we need to do? We need to get people to start blaming rock and roll again. That's what we need to do. We need to be like, you know why people are killing each other? It's that damn Nickelback.
Oh God!
Just think, we'd be able to get rid of gun
Nickelback.
violence and Nickelback at the same time. This is pretty much the greatest thought I've ever had.
I can't believe it's. I mean, we're still talking about it because I brought it up, but I can't believe it's still something that's being portrayed to people who are not gamers in regular media outlets as a viable excuse for violence.
Well, clearly,
I guess I just really can't wait for the next youth culture to.
Yeah, I think if people are still buying $1 billion worth of Grand Theft Auto 5, then people are not listening to these idiots talking about video game registries. Add me to the video game registry. Go ahead. See how many games I buy and
how many people you kill.
Yeah, and how many people I killed. Sure. And then also see that I have a normal full-time job, and I've never been unemployed, and I've never shot anybody, and I helped a little old lady cross the street the other day. You do that. You make that video game registry. Guarantee you will see how wrong you are. So
I'm just looking forward to the point in which people our age, or maybe even a little bit older, who are not older, younger, who have been immersed in this culture for their entire lives, no longer view this as an anomaly. Like, video games are not something that some people play. It's common. Like, everyone plays video games to some extent or another. And it's not an issue, because at some point, like kids who, what did we say? Kids who are starting high school now have always had cell phones, have always had, like we went through this discussion before, but when they're in the mass media, when they're the ones presenting the news, this isn't going to be the blame.
You know what I would love to see is well, let me rephrase that. The next time there is a mass murdering, what I would love to see is for that person to be outed as a rabid addict of Angry Birds.
Or you know what the issue was? Is he just read too many crime novels.
He's so into Angry Birds, and then they start talking on TV. It's like, do the birds really have to be angry? Like, are we teaching our children to be angry? Are the birds teaching our kids?
That kid threw a bird at that pig.
Oh, kids are learning about vectors and trajectories. We can't have this. We cannot have this. Angry Birds registry.
Yeah.
All I know is youth culture killed my dog. I don't think it's fair.
Okay, so our last bit of news today, I'm not going to say his name correctly, so maybe Nick, you should do this for me.
Poor Hiroshi Yamauchi.
Yes. Passed away at the age of 85. He was the person who turned the Nintendo company into what we know it as Nintendo Entertainment. So I thought instead of being all sad and whatnot, we would talk about some of our Nintendo pulls, connections, roots, or history.
Dude, Hiroshi Yamauchi was a hard ass. Like, seriously, he was a bastard. Like,
he might have been, but
he definitely, like, he's the one who pretty much decided to bring the Nintendo to America, so he's pretty much responsible for all video game culture in America, like at its roots. But like, he was just a Japanese businessman and president, and like, he was super into the bottom line. Like, he didn't not care about like his special employees or anything. Like, I think he once referred to Miyamoto as just like another employee of his. Like, he's hard ass.
But that's sort of the reason why I didn't want to focus on this fact, because even if he was just a businessman, he inadvertently affected the lives of almost everyone I know.
and you know what? Nintendo was a better company with him than they have been without him. That goes without saying. Obviously, I love my Nintendo. It changed my life. I got my Nintendo in 1986, and I played it pretty much all the time. All the time.
All the time?
All the
What
time.
is this
all the
video
time.
that you have here? Is talking about the PlayStation?
This is actually a video I found. It's an interview with Hiroshi Yamauchi, and as far as I can tell, what they're talking about was Nintendo's decision to make the N64 cartridge-based instead
Oh,
of
I
disc-based. So they're discussing Final Fantasy VII and probably how they couldn't possibly port that to the N64 because it would be like a $200 cartridge. So
Assy.
yeah, still one of the big like turning decisions that that happened in video game history. It was Nintendo's decision to steer away from disc-based media. So
Yeah. I should explain that I just said assy because there was a sign in the video.
yeah, I mean, Nick, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I mean, yeah, it's a bummer, dude. I didn't, obviously didn't know the guy personally, but he undeniably was a huge influence on video games as we know them today. So
Yeah.
So, okay, so tell us about when you got your Nintendo. Did you get did you get it sort of as a family thing, or was it something that you got right out the gate later in life? Blah blah blah.
Nick,
Me?
go ahead.
Yeah.
I got it as a family thing,
Yeah.
but I got it way after it had been out, and I was super obsessed with it because I had friends that had it, and I was already obsessed with video games at that time because of the Atari, like that my dad had bought at a Toys R Us right after the big like Atari crash. he got an Atari and like 10 games for like $20 or something like that in the early 80s. So yeah, I was already obsessed with it, and I was, even before I actually had the system, I was watching like the Super Mario Brothers cartoon, and one of my best friends that I've known since third grade, one of his earliest memories that he likes to bring out at parties and stuff is of me standing up and announcing to our third grade class what channel and what time they could watch the Super Mario Bros.
That's fantastic.
So I was always a pretty cool guy.
Super Mario Bros. Super Show now on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I got it years later and played the shit out of it.
Yeah. Ours was a family thing too. It was probably, I'm guessing it was like a year, maybe even two after the fact that it came out, because all of our friends had it by that point. And my brother and I could play it when we went and visited our friends, and we had like half an hour and then you have to visit and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So when Santa brought it to our family and it was marked to my brother and to myself, my brother exploded. He was that cliche kid that you see. He was like, oh my god, Santa, oh my god, it's Nintendo. And like, he just went over the top. I mean, he must have been 6 or 7 at the time. And I remember looking at him going, I'm never going to get to play that. But much like you were saying, we already had like computer, so we were already playing computer games, and my very first console was at Texas Instruments, and so like, the Nintendo was just the newest, shiniest thing, and then of course it changed the way that we played, so yeah. It was a family thing, though. It stayed in the living room. The ongoing joke, and I'm sorry to my family who might be listening later on, but the ongoing joke in my house was that my mom was not very tech savvy. My dad worked in IT. My brother was IT savvy from a young age, so we were all very kind of computer literate, except for my poor mom, who had no interest in it. And we'd be like, Mom, come on over here and play this game. And it was like the first Super Mario Brothers. She'd be like, well, what am I supposed to do? Okay, well, run over to the right. So she'd run right into the Goomba and die. Do-do-do-do-do-do. We're like, no, Mom, you have to jump. She'd be like, oh, okay, jump directly into the pit. Do-do-do-do-do-do. No, Mom, don't do that. So, she never ever played video games again after that.
Oh,
That's sad.
Yeah.
it was the opposite in my family. My mom took to it like crazy.
Yeah.
She played, like we beat Super Mario Brothers together, playing it 2 players.
Yeah, I mean, she enjoyed watching us, but had no interest in playing it, but it was fun to sort of introduce it and be like, this is how it works, and this is really fun, and yeah, Nintendo. That's, I guess, how my family got us out of our bedrooms playing games by ourselves.
Yeah.
I was so obsessed with it that when, it was hooked up to the family TV in the living room, I mean, we had the one TV, and when it was time to watch TV, I would grab the controller and just push the buttons, just longingly. And sometimes I would pretend that I was somehow controlling the action on the TV show.
That's great. I would say my biggest obsession with the early Nintendo was Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel.
I was so competitive with that game, to the point where I had a friend, and this is going to make me sound like the worst person alive, but you kind of have to know him and his sense of humor to understand that it was acceptable. I had a friend who was blind completely growing up, and we used to play video games together all the time, and he always kicked my butt in every single game because he was playing by sound, right?
Oh, wow.
And we would play Blades of Steel, and he would have the sound bites of the skates and the punches and everything memorized. So if I could unplug the controller without him noticing, then I could win. But it would only take him a couple of minutes to be like, Sharon, what'd you do? Oh, Blades of Steel.
I have 2 defining memories that I'll share, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
The first one, where we were talking about how our parents were or were not involved. Mine were not. My dad would play golf for the Nintendo every once in a while, and he got really good at it. But my mom was never into it at all. However, there is one lasting image I always have. Very shortly after we got our Nintendo, myself and my siblings, we'd gone to bed. So we're sleeping, and we can't figure, there's noise coming from downstairs, and we don't know what it is. Just every once in a while, there's just this uproarious laughter. So my brother and I, who shared a room at the time, we both got up and were like, what is going on down there? I was probably not older than 9 years old, so we kind of snuck downstairs. Down the stairs, and we get halfway down the stairs and we peek, and what do we see? We see our parents and some family friends all gathered around playing Wild Gunman.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they were all trying to shoot the guys with the light gun, and every time they did or did not, there was uproarious laughter. I'll always remember that moment. They probably don't even remember doing it, but they might have been a little inebriated at the time. But it was that's one of my lasting memories of seeing my parents trying to play
That's
that
really
stuff.
fun.
The other memory that I always bring up is a Legend of Zelda memory, because I was part of a fairly small neighborhood, and we all had Nintendos, and we were all trying to beat Zelda, and back then there was no internet and there were no facts, so you kind of worked together in the neighborhood to figure out how to beat certain games, and we couldn't figure out how to do Zelda at all. And one of the big problems, of course, which comes up often back in the old legacy days of Zelda, was no one could find the entrance to level 7. It was just, it's not super obvious. It's probably the least obvious entrance of all 9 of the levels. And I remember going to a friend's house down the road. He was the oldest kid in the neighborhood, so he was, I don't want to say he was a little more mature, but generally we were not over there too often. But I had kind of invited myself over, and I was sitting on his couch while he was playing, and we were just talking about stuff. And he happened to blow the whistle on the screen that you need to blow it on to get that entrance to appear. And I still remember the 2 of us looking at each other when the lake started turning colors and a door appeared, and he was like, What what is this? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen this before. I still remember he went down the stairs and the screen, like the black scrolling of the screen opens and it's level 7. Like, we both just gasped. I did not watch him play a single screen of level 7 because I was too busy running out the door back to my house so I could do what he had done. That is how we found the entrance to level 7. I'll never forget it. I've never run faster in my entire life to get back to my house. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So
those are both great stories.
yeah. So those are my 2 Nintendo stories. I have nothing but fond memories about my time playing Nintendo games. Obviously, defined a lot of my adult life as well. So, Hiroshi Yamauchi, so long,
Tip of the
farewell.
hat.
I mean, he has not been with Nintendo for quite a few years now, but he helped define video game culture as what it is today, and that is important. And for that, we thank you.
So let's have a look at what's coming out this week.
Sure. So this week we have video games coming out. Guys, this is FIFA week. I know there are probably no huge soccer fans on this particular panel of podcasters, but FIFA is probably the most popular game in the world. Thoughts?
In the world?
Yeah.
Like the whole of the world?
FIFA is probably the best-selling sports game in the world. Actually, it's not probably, it is definitely. Even more than Madden, because Madden is really just an American thing, and FIFA is soccer, and everyone in the world loves soccer, except for me. So, yeah, that's coming out. That's going to be a big deal. Other than that, there's a new Armored Core game coming out. Any of you guys play Armored Core still?
No, I've never played any of them.
Yeah, me neither. It's complicated. It's basically build a mech and then struggle with controls.
That's kind of fun.
It sounds more fun than it is, because a lot of it is math. It's like, oh, well, I put this on, so now I'm too heavy. So when I try and fly, I'm bottom heavy, and I can't shoot bullets. And there's a very, very specific niche audience for Armored Core games, but they must be powerful enough to get these games to continue to be made. So I have a feeling it's probably a series that is much more popular across the sea to the east in Japan.
I've always kind of wanted to pick them up after, Demon Souls and Dark Souls kind of made From Software a bigger name.
Yeah, they've made them. I mean, you can get them for PS2 probably for dirt cheap. There's a couple of them for 360 as well.
Building a mech sounds fun.
All right, well, we'll go get you one, and you can decide if it's something you like.
Okay.
I personally have never been too drawn to it, but it's called Armored Core Verdict Day. A suitably ambiguous name for Armored Core, which, most of the names for Armored Core games don't make any sense. There is a Scribblenauts game coming out.
Unmasked. A DC Comics adventure.
Yes, it is specifically DC themed, which seems like a weird direction for Scribblenauts, seeing as Scribblenauts is about creating anything you want. So yeah,
I see where you're going with that.
Kind of weird. It's kind of weird that Scribblenauts would get specific, especially for a game that toots its non-specificity. I think I said that word right. There's a game coming out for 3DS called Hakuoki: Memories of the Shinsengumi Limited. Oh, Shinsengumi. All right, I don't know what game that is. It's by Axis. It's rated M for mature. This is something we don't see too often on Game Boy or DS, is rated M games. I don't know anything about it. So
It means somebody gets on with somebody else at some point in the game?
Yeah, I imagine it is probably an RPG of some sort. No, I was wrong. It's a visual novel game.
Oh.
Focused on politics and relationships, which means it's a dating sim. Great. I will...
It's an otome,
yes,
which is a sort of visual novel / dating sim, and usually aimed at the ladies.
Oh,
so it's like your romance novel in game form.
Feels lots of hunky guys.
Harlequin romance of the 3DS.
Yes, we got a few. The PlayStation Network has been coming out with tons of PS2 games lately. Tokobot and Mark of Kree are both coming out this week on the PlayStation Network. I did not play either of those, actually, but I hear good things about the Mark of Kree series.
I remember really loving Mark of Kree at the time. I would be surprised if it's aged well at all.
Me too. Yeah. On PC, we have Shadow Warrior coming out. That is, I believe that's the new one.
Yep. I'm kind of interested in that, even though I actively hate the original Shadow Warrior.
This one looks neat. It looks good. That's all I'll say about it, though. I'm unfamiliar with the original, so I can't make comments about it.
I was surprised to find that it's apparently like a larger, bigger game, and they're selling it for $40.
Oh.
Huh.
I kind of like
it's
that.
Not, it's not just a little one-off downloadable. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't play the first one. What was the downfalls of the first one?
Extreme racism.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, if that's its calling card, was its racism.
But I'm assuming this one's not going to be that.
I hope not, though. They didn't change the name of the main character. The main character's still named Lo Wang.
Oh.
So
you know who else has a Lo Wang? Okay, let's not go. Also, guys, for PC, they're releasing Pac-Man Championship DX Plus on PC, which strikes me as a great idea because I love Pac-Man Championship Edition DX.
Yep.
Is that coming out?
That game is fantastic.
Is that a Steam release or is? I hope so. I'll totally buy it again.
Yeah, it's a Steam release.
All right,
I've seen it listed. I've got it on my wish list on Steam.
There's nothing more satisfying than being chased by 36 ghosts at the speed of light while colors blare in your face.
I really love Pac-Man. Everything Pac-Man.
Also with some pumping music.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much
I'll probably
it.
get that also, and then we'll have some score.
Oh, yeah. That's a great game for score competition.
Score challenges.
Yes. All right.
I might have to get this too, though.
All right.
I won't score competition you, but I might have to play this.
Hopefully they'll release it at a $5 price point. I have a feeling it's probably going to be $10 though. And I still have to pick up Spelunky, so my list is getting longer. And that's pretty much all that's going to come out next week that's worth talking about. Unless,
it is going to be $10.
Okay.
Yeah, I just checked too.
All right. Guys, that brings us to the finale of this podcast. Sharon, would you like to reread the card?
I suppose so. So for people listening to us live, thank you. If you're not listening to us live, you can on Saturdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/fromthedpad. You can also go to www.fromthedpad.com and you can get an archive of this and all the other wonderful previous 51 podcasts of the DPod. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, and here on Twitch.
Yay!
Yeah, big thanks to Nick for joining us. And don't forget to join us again on Wednesday for episode 3 of La Mulana Rama.
Yep, where we are continuing to play La Mulana in a mostly blind fashion. Between the three of us trying to figure out how to beat the damn game. Mm-hmm. Who knows how long that'll go. That could go forever.
And if anyone is interested in seeing a bunch of people be really bad at Dota, I am definitely going to have something going on Tuesday.
Great.
At 7.
Cool. Yeah. That brings us to the end of the podcast. Anyone got any final comments regarding the end of one whole year's worth of podcasts?
Season 2.
I know. I'm going to have to create all new everything for Season 2, huh?
Yeah.
Got a busy week ahead of me.
We're just getting better and better.
Yeah. With the same amount of viewers. All right, guys. That's going to do it for episode 52. We'll be back next week with episode 1. Yeah? Episode 1?
Wow.
Get it? Mm-hmm. Can I do that? Can I do S2E1? Is that allowed?
I don't know.
Or should I do 53?
It should be 53.
God damn it.
No one numbers podcasts like that.
Okay. I figured I'd ask. All right, that's it for this week's podcast. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.